Hello everyone. I would like to first say thank you to Edutech for going with the flow and being adaptable and adapting to the changes. And I'm super glad to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Natalie White and I am a renegade education change consultant. I have some ideas that are a bit out there and I'm going to share some of them with you today. And I have had the magical opportunity of putting those ideas into practice with my own children. So I can share some personal experience, which may relate to some, may not relate to others. Everyone must choose what is best for them. That is my first disclaimer. So the topic that I'm going to sort of give you an expose on is how learner-driven education leads to adaptability. Now, learner-driven education, most of us were thinking of those computer programs where you get a certain level and then it gives you the next level and so on. And I've taken a little bit more of a radical approach to it, as in sitting with your children and saying, what would you like to learn? And then waiting and watching them perhaps not doing things that you think they should be learning, but eventually being patient enough to see that they will naturally be inclined toward that which they have an aptitude for. And this does take time. So my own children, in 2018, I pulled them out of school and I left an 18-year career in education, which has now sort of continued in little drips and drabs, like me speaking at wonderful Edutech conference each year. And I popped them out of school, took myself out of school, luckily had some online work to do, and off we went camping, backpacking, and staying in people's gardens and on their couches all around the country for about 10 months. And during that time, I didn't spend a lot of energy on educating them. You know, we didn't sit at museums and read the inscription on every single item. We didn't analyze the ecosystem of the Knysna forest by looking at all the possibilities of food webs, which is something that I would have done with my classes. Instead, we just, for a lack of a better word, we were just being in these spaces and just getting to know what it felt like to live in different places and have different people around you and live a different way of living. And they learned so much. They had such a wonderful experience, as did I. And during those travels, there was a point where I wasn't sure where to go next because I had sort of ticked off the places that I wanted to. And I sort of wasn't sure what was the next step and couldn't quite make the decision. And my kids and I were swinging in my hammock in the trees in a forest in the Cape, actually. And I took a breath and said, hold on, let me ask them. And I asked them, and that led us to KZN for our next bit of the adventure, which was lovely. And some things were done there that needed to be done. And I really suddenly understood what learner-driven education was, which is, imagine allowing our children the choice of educating themselves in the way that suits them best in that particular time of their life. So now my children are back in the homeschool because both of them wanted to go back to school and they wanted the structure. So they went from traveling, choosing places where they would travel, watching endless YouTube videos of things they were interested in. For example, my son is an absolute consumer of wildlife and survival videos. So there's his aptitude. He also loves any sort of gardening, any food preparation, and then creating of gadgets. So I know his aptitudes very well because he's had a year of just doing whatever he wants on devices and playing in any way he wants and engaging with the environment in any way that he wants without me sort of turning everything into a learning opportunity, which was very difficult coming from a 18-year education background. So I was very much in a space of watching my children do what they wanted and learned so much about what their aptitude, their sort of creative flow was, and what their sort of thresholds of learning were, so amount of time or sort of the intensity of the experience. It was a really magical adventure into how children actually learn and how things can change when you allow them to choose what they're interested in, and specifically how their enthusiasm and their passion to only do that thing that they want to do grows as you give them the chance to do what they want to do, which is incredibly powerful, because you can end up with people who are quite young, who've been given time to do what they want to do over and over again and become masters of it and experts much earlier than later, because a lot of their time isn't wasted on things that aren't necessarily their aptitude. So I wanted to just talk about what the benefits, I think, of this unique style is. And with that, just to give you a little breakdown, my kids were free, and then they went to do whatever they wanted at home. And then they went to a self-directed education facility where all the things were there for them to do, and they could choose what they wanted. There was no set timetables, no classes or whatever. And they loved it there. They loved the socializing. And then obviously when COVID hit, everything shut down, and they were at home for a few months, and then they decided they wanted to go back to school. And my daughter decided she'd like to do a curriculum. She feels like doing speeches and writing things and preparing things and whatever. And my son is now also there at the homeschool, but he doesn't have a curriculum. So this is the place where we're sitting now. So I wanted to talk about what the benefits are, so that you can perhaps decide for yourself. And these are from personal experience. These are things that I've actually seen happen in my children. And I've made a list, and the list isn't exhaustive. It was what I could think of without boring you with all the benefits. But I think if you just give yourself an opportunity to think about it and sit back and sometimes ask the learners what they would like to learn and how they'd like to learn it, you will see that as a teacher, as a parent, you have to put a lot less energy into convincing them that they need to learn something or that they need to do something, because even if it is a thing that is crucial, as they're going, they will realize that they need it and they will initiate learning it. So these are the benefits. The first one is it gives an allowance for change. So children can change their minds. So my kids didn't want to be in school. Then they wanted to be in a sort of open facility where they could socialize if they wanted or do anything. And now they want to be in a school where there's a curriculum and they want to have friends and be doing extramurals. So they can change their mind. And if they go 6 months and they say, oh, no, I don't want to do the curriculum anymore, but I want to stay at the school, or my son says, I do want to do the curriculum, he can change his mind, because you can learn anything you want. You can learn as much as you want and as much depth as you want. It's up to you. You'll still be able to use it, always. The other thing is allowance for unexpected opportunities. So let's say, for example, I get an opportunity to go work in Cape Town for 3 months. And I say to the kids, would you like to go to Cape Town, and we can go do this, and we can learn that and whatever. Now we can take the opportunity, because there's not the set thing of how things have to be. Or my son was offered to learn how to build terrariums for animals. Now he can take, those little, for amphibians and reptiles, sorry. And now he can take a few days of school to go and do that, because it's a skill and something that he actually wants to learn and he can use. He can actually then build them in the future. So it allows those unexpected opportunities to come up. If we were to be offered to travel overseas, we would also jump on that opportunity. They could perhaps go to school and learn another language. So there's this constant openness for adaptability and change. Another great benefit, this one is very important, is it reduces the children's stress, your stress, based on your expected outcomes of what their learning and their education is going to be. Stop worrying about them getting a certificate. They're going to be adaptable. If they get to a point where they want to study at university, they can do there's the SATs, there's the GCSEs, and a lot of other qualifications that you can get that check whether you are university ready. And then if you're not university ready, then you do a course to get to that point. And if you're adaptable, you realize it doesn't matter what age you do it. If you get to 26 and you suddenly want to do a psychology degree at a university, quickly do the course that you need to be able to do to get up to that level, write the exams and get entrance. And that's the adaptability. It's change. You can learn anything now. It's all online. So that stress is gone. If I want to do it when I'm 30, I can do it when I'm 30. There's some people who finish their matric, their school qualifications much later in life. Some of the people never need it. Look at Richard Branson, for example. You don't get over the certificates, get over the piece of paper. This is the big one. Big one. Right. It develops the internal locus of control. I just want to check my time here. Internal locus of control is your ability, your understanding that you have control of your life and things that happen around you and have an impact or an influence on things that happen around you or influence. So your point of control is inside, it is internal. And that leads to the ability to initiate action. If you know that when you do something, there is a reaction, that the change can happen, that something can happen, that you can have control of something, then it gives you the confidence to then initiate that action. So it's basically like when you do what your children say or you listen to what they say, they become confident that their choices and their ability to act is valid. Okay, right. So then this improves divergent thinking. So there's multiple solutions. So it's not like you just have to be educated in this way. You can only learn in this way. There's many ways to learn, You can watch a video of someone cooking, or you can stand with somebody cooking, or you can read a recipe book, or you can just try it yourself and see which way is the easiest for you. You can make things up. So they see that there's multiple ways to be educated, multiple ways to create things, do things. And also, if you open and you let them get exposed to different people, and like when we went traveling, we lived with people with all different occupations, then they have multiple solutions. My kids know there's honestly no issues. There's no problems. Everything has a solution. Sometimes it's painful that something has happened, or it hurts, or we have to, be upset about it for a little bit or whatever, but there is always a solution to it. And we just keep going. We just keep adapting. Change keeps happening. That's what life is, just constant change all the time. So they feel okay with that. Big one, reduces family conflict. So my kids asked to go back to homeschool now. So in the morning, when we don't want to get home for school, I say, you asked to go to school. I'm not forcing you to go to school. You asked to go to school. You're going to sit at home. You've been at home for a few months now. So it's your choice. Do you want to go and hang with your friends at school? Do you want to stay at home? You're going to be at home on the weekend. So you're going to be at home. School's only from, 8:30 to 1 or whatever, 1:30, and then you have to come home. So it's up to you. You chose it. And you only have to say that once or twice. And then they're like, oh yeah, I actually chose to go to school. And the family conflict is gone. Whatever they choose to study, you don't have to force them anymore because they're naturally inclined to do it. Homework isn't an issue. So it's a real reduction. And with that family conflict, that the reduced emphasis on the outcomes is really important. My daughter had a speech to do the other day, and we forgot about it until the morning. And I was like, okay, well, what is the speech topic? And she said this, something about going fishing. I said, okay, well, didn't we go fishing at some point in the travels? Yeah, okay. Right, so just tell that story, and just this adaptability, like there's no stress, it's okay. If you don't do it on time, you can sort of make something up in the meantime, quickly next time, we're going to be a bit more disciplined about it, and we'll learn from this. And then, an increased sense of self-ownership. So that thing of like, this is my own life. The younger they realize that this is their own life and they can do what they want, the earlier they start actually developing their concepts, their ideas about what their life wants to be, and they start making choices about how they can have their best life and get everything that they want out of life, and how to create their life. My daughter's quite different from me. She doesn't want the sort of nomad, hippie, counterculture lifestyle that I lead. And I said, that's cool, babes. Like, start living yours, start doing what you want. And she's got her own aesthetic and her own things that she's into. So this has been a very interesting journey for me as a mom and as an educator, having 18 years of experience in special needs public and private schools. You know, I wanted to use every learning opportunity I can with my kids and make sure that they, you know, at the top of their game in terms of education. But what I realized is that through all of this is that the top of the game is them leading, me taking my hands off the reins, them leading, and me just being a mentor and a guide and a facilitator and a person who exposes them to as many opportunities and experiences as I can. So that is all I have to say. Thank you for listening to my personal story, and I hope that some of it is relatable to you. And I hope that you just take some time to sit down with the learners or your children and actually ask them what they would like to learn and how they would like to learn it. And you'd be surprised they actually are interested in learning. It's just that they want to learn what they want to learn and how they want to learn it. And that's really no different from us. So they're not little humans. They're just humans that are at a different developmental phase to us. So thank you very much. I am Natalie White, and I appreciate being on this Edutech talk. Thank you.